Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Usually these things are really loud because we experience all the khatibs coming up here and going, it's astaghfirullah, it's like, haram, what kind of topic is this? But we're not experiencing this, mashallah. I want to clear my throat. But just want to make sure that you all know these 4 things I'm going to be talking about. But with us today we have a doctor of love, and he will clarify things after me. So I'll just refer many things to the doctor, inshallah. And we're really, I was talking to Dr. Arif, and we're really blessed to have individuals like that from the community, just like you are here today. A few years ago, he was perhaps in the crowd sitting and listening to some sheikh, listening to some imam, listening to some talks. But he, mashallah, and other people just like we have in the community. And YM people understand it very, very well, and mashallah, the network is growing, is that you're able to inspire individuals, and they don't remain these individuals who show up sometimes at the masjid or sometimes to play basketball. They actually go on, take the high road, travel to another level, and then be able to guide others to the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's the blessing. That's where you want to aim for, inshallah. That you want to be these individuals, these pillars that actually this community is built upon, right? This masjid, if you look at it, the pillars are in the back that you could see. Physical pillars. And then the pillars are on the side. This is what the structure is built on. And you can't have this dome unless you have these pillars around you. And this is the work that we need to do. But in order to do that, and this is why the Prophet ﷺ and his example is so beautiful. The Prophet ﷺ, before, if you look into it, before he would go out and give da'wah and call people to Islam and hajj and lead them through all these, manasik and things like that, the Prophet ﷺ is praying in the middle of the night, half the night, 1/3 of the night, full night to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's establishing himself in a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if that foundation is there with all of us, inshallah, you grow up to be somebody that others look up to and are inspired by that example. And that's what you want to do, inshallah. All of you, wallahi, I'm here not to give a lecture that people would go away from something they're doing that is bad in their life. But I'm here actually to take it from the perspective that how can we become these individuals who are going to leave a legacy? And this is one of the things that we need to work on, our relationships, right? A gender relationship is a big topic at this age. But we need to work on this in order to become that individual who leaves a legacy. In order to become that individual who could motivate other people. In order to become that individual who has that capacity not to just simply look after themselves, nafsi, but also be able to become an individual that when I see a person in the community, I say, well, subhanAllah, that brother, man, I need to go out and play some basketball with that individual. I need to bring that brother from that community, and then you know what? We need to connect, because it's the connection of the hearts that would ultimately succeed, inshallah. I need to go out there and I need to grab these younger brothers, and you know what? We need to form a youth halaqa. We need to have a YM at ISCJ. We need to attract more members. So this is the type of deal that you become, inshallah, and that's what you should aspire to, inshallah. So the talk today, that was just an introduction. I was getting warm up. So 4 noble truths, right, of a relationship. And this is what I want to talk about. They're just 4 things. And all these 4 things, if you look into it, just one ayah actually. And if you know this ayah, Surah Al-Baqarah, write it down. You're taking notes, right? MashaAllah. I see brothers taking mental notes. Yeah, there you go. So, Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah number 25. Okay, and listen to this ayah. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. Actually, yeah, Ya ayyuhalladhina, I apologize. وَبَشِّرِ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ أَنَّ لَهُمْ جَنَّاتٍ تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارُ. And give glad tidings to those people who believe and do good actions. Always together. Believe and do good actions. Give them good news of what? Jannat, gardens. تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارُ. That the rivers shall flow underneath it. And then كُلَّمَا رُزِقُوا مِنْهَا مِنْ ثَمَرَةٍ رِزْقًا. And every time that they shall have these fruits, every time that they shall have these fruits that are there given to them, قالوا, they will say, هذه رزقنا من قبل, that we have eaten something like it. We have experienced something very similar to these fruits, something very similar to this in the world before. وَأُتُوا بِهِ مُتَشَابِهًا, and they would be given something that which is very similar in essence, but very different at the same time. We have given to them in Jannah these fruits that are very similar to them what was given to them before. وَلَهُمْ فِيهَا أَزْوَاجٌ مُطَهَّرَةٌ, and they shall have spouses that are pure. وَهُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ, and they shall remain in it forever and ever. So this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling us, to a higher planes, to a higher ground. And this is what we're committed to, inshallah. So the first 4 things that I want to mention, and before even I mention that, I do want to mention something to clarify. There's a word that's spelled with 4 letters. And many people, when they think of this, Valentine's Day, and they're thinking about this letter, this word. When they're thinking about gender relationship, they're thinking about this word, right? When they're thinking about that special someone, they're thinking about this word, okay? And that word, many people think is, mashallah, somebody's in love. I want to hear that one again. Beautiful, right? They think it's that word. That's really it, right? That they're striving for. L-O-V-E. But a lot of times what you find in the society at large is that everything is revolving around not love, but L-U-S-T. Lust. The lower desire. How can I get out of that individual what I desire? My ego. Everything I want, right? The lust, the lowest of the low that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about, asfal as-safilin. Well, who are these people who run after their desires? It's not love, what they're claiming. They will tell you it's love, L-O-V-E. But if you look at their ads, it's all lust. Why? Because love is not something that is filthy. Love is something pure. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the word mahabba in the Quran many times. وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا أَشَدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ, that those individuals who believe in Allah and do righteous actions, they are actually intense in their love for God. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses that word. But it's not a bad word. But what the society tells us is that they have confused these 2 words. So before you get into this, oh, I am in love, ask yourself, is it love or is it lust? And at a certain point in our lives, we confuse these 2. And the very good thing that I learned from somebody very early on is that love is something that is guaranteed. That is commitment that is given to you. And this is the first thing that I want to talk about, 4 noble truths of a relationship. That it's a commitment. That you have a commitment to an individual. It's not a relationship where you simply say, because once you have a spouse, you can't say, one day, we're done with this today. No, when you're going through the highs and the lows, the happy days and the sad days, right? The best of time and the most difficult of time. This is a commitment that you have made. This is a promise that you have made. You're committed to an individual. That's love. When you are sick and then you have to take care of somebody else and you want to give because you have this altruistic heart. You have this heart that is big enough that you could get up in the middle of the night and you could say, you know what? I'll take care of it. That's okay. I'll take care of the dishes. I'll take care of the vacuuming. I'll take care of the laundry. I'll take care of the kids. That's love because you're committed to the idea. But what is lust? Lust is it's all about myself. It's all about me. What can I get out of you as an individual? You see, that's lust. There's no commitment involved. There's no promise that you made. There is no idea of that, no, I need to do this because it is for the greater good of that individual and for myself as well. So let's keep it very simple and straight. Love and lust, let's know the difference between the 2. So as like anything in Islam, the 4 noble truths of a relationship, it starts with Bismillah. Very simple. It starts in the name of Allah. You have to be committed to Allah first. And if you're committed to Allah, everything falls under it. Very simple idea. When you're in high school and you have that special one in the heart because you're a human being, let's just face it. right? You're a human being. That individual is going to be a special one, and you're going to be love struck. And if you're not struck and strung by the love by this time, then you're simply lying. Then you're simply fooling yourself. Why? Because it's not human or it's not normal, right? One of the two. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this heart, and this heart is there to indicate something actually greater. And this is what I want to talk about. But before we talk about that, know for sure the first principle about relationship is that everything that starts in the name of Allah. And this is the reason why when we wed people, when we have weddings, you are wed in the name of God, in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It starts with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Why? Because with the name of Allah, there's barakah in it. With the name of Allah, there's blessing in it. With the name of Allah, all the haram runs away. You can't even imagine doing anything haram. Bismillah. Just think about this. Can you even think about doing anything haram with Bismillah in the name of God? And that is our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is your relationship with Allah. That you start thinking that everything that you do in your life, where is Allah in that relationship? So my relationship with my parents, where is Allah? My relationship with my friends, where is Allah? My relationship with my siblings, where is Allah in this? So all of this revolves around the noble truth that I talk about, which is Bismillah, committed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the first and foremost. As we know, Allah al-awwal wal-akhir, that He is the first and He is the last. Number two, which I want to talk about inshallah, the second thing, the second noble truth, and that is connection. Connection. Right after Bismillah, the commitment to Allah, connection to people and connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But I want you to connect this. I just gave you an ayah from Surah Al-Baqarah. Ayah number 25. She was 25. No, ayah number 25. Right? We will remember that. Ayah number 25. That's a good way to put it. وَأُتُوا بِهِ مُتَشَابِهًا. And they were given things that were very similar, right? In likeness. So they were given all these fruits. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives you, if you look at this ayah, it's mind-boggling. It covers everything in this life, of this world. You're given this life, and it has been, and then there are things, everything that's given to you is very similar to the things in the hereafter. What are these things? You're given this idea, and we'll remain on the topic, right? This idea of love, right? This idea of having desires and feelings for others. Understanding that when you become just, fascinated by someone, right? This idea of you're thinking to yourself, I can't live without that special one, right? This idea of love and yearning for someone. This idea of love, I'll stop here, all right? People are not even looking around. I'll stop here. But this idea of love, that it's commitment to this individual. And this is natural, right? Now, I want you to understand, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأُتُوا بِهِ مُتَشَابِهًا. They're given, every one of you, they're given in their lives things that are similar in the heaven, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this taste, this idea of love. Because He wants, if you look into the books of the early scholars, and they would talk about the inner sciences of the heart, they would talk about things like shawq, seeking, desiring someone, right? They'll talk about rida, or the pleasure, right? Something that you gain from. They'll talk about ladha, right? Tasting something, just having that, connection. Nadhar, right? Having a glance. Mahabba, love. And if you think about it, all these topics and subtitles are actually mentioned about not the other individual, not the other human being, but they're actually mentioned to have a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? These are all connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you have that feeling, when you have that understanding that these feelings that are there, they could also relate with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And once you grow as an individual, we start connecting these feelings, that this is actually, the feelings that I have for another individual is very minute in comparison to a believer's feeling and desire for seeking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's the first principle, again, Allah first. When you relate these desires, then you say to yourself, Allah Azza wa Jalla, He gave us so many things to be thankful and grateful for. And when I look inside the heart, I am committed to Allah first. And then I look inside my heart that I have this yearning, this desire for some special individual. And that is given to me because I am taught this lesson. وَأُتُوا بِهِ مُتَشَابِهًا. Where is your desire for God? Where is your desire and love for Allah? Where is this shawq for Allah? That's seeking Allah in the middle of the night, crying to Him. Where is this desire for making tawbah to Him? Where is this desire to recognize that I am weak and you're strong, Allah? Where is this desire where you find that connection that I am here because I am your servant and you are my Lord? Where is that desire? And if we are not able to connect with that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying to us, I've given you something similar. Come on. I've given you something similar. I've given you a hint. I've given you something that will bring you back to life. I've given you things that will guide you towards me. And this is the message of Islam. To Allah. Bismillah, awwaluhu wa akhiruhu. All of it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The first and the last. This is what our lives are all about. About Allah. And this is what it revolves around. And that is how we're different as believers. Because we seek Allah first. We seek His pleasure. And that is why all the other relationships that we have, we're not confused about how as a Muslim our gender relations are to be at high school level, at college level, at the neighborhood level, or any other relationship at the masjid, Sunday school. We're not confused about this. Why? Because I recognize Allah comes first. He has given me this desire to test me, Allah or someone else. And when you recognize Allah first, it's very clear from there on what you need to do. People say there are individuals, they're told what to do. And then there are individuals who are told how to do things. And then the individuals who are leaders and those who inspire other individuals, they know why they do what they do and how they do things in their lives. So I'm not going to tell you here, this is haram, brother, sister, this is haram. This is gray area, stay out of it. No. What is your relationship with Allah? And that is going to determine how you understand and where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, right? Somebody was asked, where is taqwa? At-taqwa hahuna. And that taqwa will manifest. When you see things that you're not supposed to, then you say Allah first. When you're doing things when you're not supposed to, you say Allah first and you walk away from it. So it's that recognition that comes with that commitment to Allah first, Bismillah, the connection with Allah that we're seeking. There's a higher relationship, there's a higher authority that I'm seeking in my life. I'm not here to make this connection with other people and forget the highest connection that I could have. And then the third one, inshallah, that I want to talk about is coursework. And that is, you're here, you're young individuals, mashallah, you have your life in front of you, and you want to become this individual, as I was talking about, that will going to inspire not just a person next to you, not a person sitting behind you, but the entire masajid in the North American communities. You're going to become this individual who's going to be like this dawah machine that we look upon. There are few individuals, mashallah, who are here, from the brothers and from the sister side, that we know, that we recognize and we look up to and we really count on. When I think of cities, right, in Jersey, I say, well, who's working in that place? And I just connect names with people, right? Jersey City, there's a name. Like MCMC, Piscataway, there's a few names. Princeton, I have a few other names. Patterson, I recognize. That's how I remember cities. I know them by people who are working giving da'wah, people who inspire other individuals. So now we have this coursework. We have to do this work that needs to be done. And bachelorship, that where you are today. This is where the training begins for another big step in your life. And what is that big step? That is the marriage that we're going to talk about. But before you get there, I want to really be very clear to you about this. If you are using abusive language with your friends, with your siblings, with your parents, with your neighbors, or any of that, right? And hasha lillah, I don't consider that for this group. But any individual who's on that, you're going to work your way till, this special individual comes into your life. You welcome that individual, right? And that baggage that you carried with you all your life, guess what? You're just going to throw that filth right at that special person. You're just going to take that bag, and whenever you're going to go off, it's just going to be like that. And then you say, what happened? I used to be so what happened? I wasn't, this is not me. What happened, right? And then a few years later, people say, oh, you know, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, right? That just kind of went in the wrong direction. So what happened? Why? Because, and this is what we have to know. If some individual is going on with other relationships, right, in their life when they're teenagers. And I'll tell you with my co-workers, I know they're not Muslims, obviously. So they have relationships throughout their lives, you know, from adolescent life. 12, 13, 14, 22, you know, 39, 40, 63, they get married, right, finally. And, you know, they kind of recognize, oh man, I got to do this too. That's one more, you know, I could just buy a ring. You know, no, that won't, you know, be cool. But, you know, finally they get married. And then, guess what? Last 20 years, last 15 years of your life, you've been jumping around. You've been playing games. Now you think you're going to be committed to one individual? Think about it. You've been trained, not you, right? This individual's been trained to jump around, to play games. And then now, finally, this special person walks in their life. And they're ready. And they're like, yes, we're going to make it heaven. It's going to be paradise on earth. And we're ready to go. And then, you know, average marriage contract that lasts in America is 2 days. All right, give them some hope, man. I need some like pick me up kind of like you know, 2 days is good, but no. 7 years maximum, and then average it out. You got, you know, the next person, move on, kind of thing. So 50% of the people almost, right, are living with having a divorce, and the other 50 are, you know, looking to get that, you know, or something like that. So it's very sad, and I'm not trying to make a gist of it, you know, but it's sad. This is our community, this is our society, and this is the first thing that the shaitan attacks. Family. He attacks that, and everything else after that falls apart. That's all to it. So now coursework is you have to start working on being good, refraining from evil. Because you know what? If a person lets their glands go, you know, just wild, right? Then when they're done, married, you know, they think that's the individual I'm going to be like having blinders on, and it doesn't work like that. Okay? They think that if I'm just going to have this individual who's going to be, you know, harsh, hard-hearted, just, you know, putting people down, when, you know, the worst thing that I've seen in high school, you know, with students, is that they will stand in circle, like 4 or 5 of them early in the morning in the breakfast or like lunchtime, and they'll just start picking on one person, and they'll start putting him down. And everybody else would just chime in. You know, they'll start, yeah, you like this, and you know, your height's like that, your weight's like that. And this is like the saddest thing, that because people, they base people, individuals, on this outward thing. And you never know amongst you who you're standing in that circle when people are making fun of individuals. It might be that they're the closest people to Allah. It might be that they're the closest people to Allah, and you have just insulted these individuals. It's not about how short they are, how much weight they have, it's how little you are with an understanding that does not go beyond nafsi, nafsi. I look better because I could make fun of you. This is like the lowest of the low. So we have to work on picking ourselves up, being these individuals who actually help other individuals. And are praiseworthy individuals who are actually interested in the lives of other people. You're not simply an individual who's basketball, homework, and I'm done. No, you have to find out. And let me ask you this. Do you know the favorite dish that your parents would love to eat? Nah, it was nahari actually. No. So, do you know that? Can you cook that? That's the other one. Right? What can you do for other people? Come on, folks. What can you do for other people? Do you know the favorite teams of all the other cousins that you have? Right? I'm talking to guys here, right? What are they? Right? And then what clicks with them? So you have to know these things, right? How do you know what are the things that your dad is interested in? Is it stock market? Is it reading the newspaper in the morning? Or giving you a beat down or something like that? Right? What is he interested in? Because, and this is the reason why, get out of this nafsi mode. You have to understand, and I have to understand, as an individual who's going to inspire other people, has to look into the lives of other people and say, you know what? I want to help this individual because, and unless I understand what this individual is all about, unless I understand that individual, who he is or she is, I can't really relate with them. Why? Because my relationship, right? You have some of the closest people to you in here, right? The sisters have the closest people and the brothers, right? What do you know about them? Right? What motivates them? What is that they like? If you have to pick one gift for Eid for them, what is that going to be? Alright, don't start telling you, asking things, right? But we have to get out of this mode of, what do I like? What do I need? What do I feel like? All this nafsi mode. We have to start bringing in people by recognizing that, yes, there are others who exist outside of this physical body and the desires that exist along with it. So inshallah, with this understanding, coursework that needs to be done, that I have to actually start looking into the lives of other individuals. Because at this age, sometimes it's very selfish mentality. It's all about me. And then if you sit down with some of the teenagers in America, right, you start asking them, and you pair them up with some of the older individuals. You know, what can you talk about? And, you know, you're sitting there at the train station, there's a guy who's 60 years old. Basketball, football, homework maybe, you know. Cars maybe, right? And then you start running out of topics. You know why? Because that's who you are as an individual. You haven't really grown as an individual to understand what's going on out in the world. What is going out, what is happening in South Brunswick, this township. What is happening with the mosque and those individuals who were always blaming people. Oh, this guy, man, he's just, this uncle, man, oh God. You know, this auntie, you know, she's always doing. And we're just criticizing people. But who are we? And what have we done? And how established are we as an individual? What can I talk about besides sports? And is that who I am? Because that's what represents you. This knowledge, all the information up here, that's who you are, man. That's where you're spending your time. So let us, inshallah, begin becoming people who are deeply committed to learning, inshallah. And then the last one that I want to mention is the correction and fixing yourself. And that comes when we engage after recognizing that life is short. And I'm going back to Allah. And we have a very different perspective than a lot of the other individuals that we find in high school and college, and even in the greater society. We have a very different perspective. For a lot of these individuals, they're not worried about what happens in the graves. For a lot of these individuals, they're not worried about and they're not concerned about who God is. They're not people who say that we are believers in terms of how Quran describes it as believers in faith and action. They're not worried about that. That's not them. But when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He talks about His hudud, His boundaries that you should not be going, outside of. He says, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا. He doesn't say don't commit zina. Right? He says don't even go near it. Don't even go near it. And that is the advice Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shares with us, because He wants what is best for us. And unless we start thinking, how can I fix myself? How can I stay away from it? Not dive into it, how can I stay away from it? I have to start looking at my friends. I have to start looking as to who invites me towards Allah and who distracts me from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I have to start looking into what is my goal and what is my vision in life. Where am I going to be 10 years down the road? Where am I going to be 20 years down the road? And I'm not talking about being a doctor, physician, engineer, and all these are great ideals to look, as far as professions are concerned. This is great if you should aspire to be at the highest level within the community. But I want to talk about something that you can't grasp, you can't grab. And that is, who are you going to be as a Muslim 10 years down the road? 20 years down the road? 30 years down the road? 50 years down the road? When you find that perfect individual, how is that perfect individual in your life who's going to step right into it? How is that individual going to find you, and what is that individual going to learn from you? Because you're going to be the leader. What is that individual going to walk away from just meeting you? Is it going to be, oh my God? Or is it going to be subhanallah? Which is both in English translation and the other one's Arabic, right? Subhanallah. Why? Because you're so special. You don't have to act. You don't have to get the flowers on that special day. Because you're simply an individual who has done it all your life. Because you were given flowers to your mother when she did not expect it from you. Because, they're not celebrating Mother's Days like that. You were there for your siblings when they needed someone to just simply sit there and listen to them what happened. And you were there for them. So you don't need to fake it with that special one, because you already been trained to be that individual who cares, who show compassion, who loves, and who has it in that understanding that I am trying to become the best person. So I want to be that individual who remains away from all that which is evil and walk toward the path that is the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ultimately, the last thing that I want to share in conclusion, as we talked about these 4 noble truths of a relationship, Bismillah, commitment to Allah, connection, وَأُتُوبِهِ مُتَشَابِهَا, they were given similar things. Allah wants you to connect this idea of love with His love. Coursework, all that which you need to develop as an individual to become that perfect being. Other people, they ask, how come she is or he is so, all these mistakes, but they forget about themselves. They want this perfect individual, but they don't work on being that perfect model for that individual. So let us work on that. And then the 4th one and the last one that I've talked about is correction and fixing yourself. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so make dua, do your best, and ultimately trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Things going to work out. You don't have to, text so-and-so. You don't have to email so-and-so and thinking, if I don't have that connection with so-and-so, she's going to go with other so-and-so, right? Or he's going to go with some other so-and-so. You don't have to do that. You know why? Because you make dua, you do your best, and you trust Allah. Because if that so-and-so was the best so-and-so, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's going to arrange if that individual is written for you. And if that so-and-so was not the best so-and-so, then let it be. Let them walk. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has something better stored in this life, inshallah, and if not, in the hereafter, He's going to reward all of us. So the last ayah that I want to mention, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who believe, meaning pay attention, believers. La tattabi'u khutuwati shaitan. Don't follow in the footsteps of shaitan. وَمَنْ يَتَّبِعْ خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ, and whoever follows in the footsteps of shaitan, فَإِنَّهُ يَأْمُرُ بِالْفَحْشَاءِ وَالْمُنْكَرِ, then he's going to simply call you towards indecency and bad things. وَلَوْلَا فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَتُهُ, and if it wasn't for the bounty of Allah and His mercy, and if it wasn't the bounty of Allah and His mercy, مَا زَكَى مِنْكُم مِّنْ أَحَدٍ أَبَدًا, none of you ever will be pure people. None of you would be these individuals that could say, I am a Muslim, I don't do these things. This is all the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His fadl. وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يُزَكِّي مَن يَشَاءُ, and it is God who gives you this purification. It is God, it is Allah who purifies people. So don't claim this purity that I am somebody noble and somebody good, and all these other individuals, man, they don't know what type of Muslims they are. But rather it's Allah who gives it to you. So become a believer who thanks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and don't take it as this is who I am, better than everybody else. Rather, it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يُزَكِّي مَن يَشَاءُ, and God is the one who purifies. You simply ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His mercy and that purification. وَاللَّهُ سَمِيعٌ عَلِيمٌ, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He leaves you with that He is the one who hears and He is the one who knows your condition. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you.